182.
You said it like a question.
82.
82?
82? I do that a lot now. I don't know why I do that.
82?
82? What's going on, guys? Pulling the Thread podcast. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you aware of the mostly peaceful protesting going on?
In Chicago?
The DNC?
Yeah, I mean...
How come they don't have any riots at any of the Republican shit?
They're not ramping it up enough. You know what? Think about this. This is kind of interesting.
And why do they keep calling them Palestinian, pro-Palestinian? Why don't they just call them Democrats?
Because they don't want to... They can't associate.
Do you think Kamala's... they arrested a bunch of them. Do you think Kamala's bailing them out?
No, I doubt Kamala will bail them out.
Did you hear about the 5 bomb threats?
No.
They said there's 5 bomb threats at hotels where the DNC people are staying and stuff. They named one of them. They named 2 of them. I hadn't heard of one of them, but one of them was Nobu. Now Nobu is
a restaurant.
Is the sushi place we eat at in Vegas, and they do have a very boutique hotel. But I thought that location only had like 8 or 10 rooms. It's a very small hotel. I would assume.
Well, yeah, but then that makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
I would assume that the one
in those 8 or 10 rooms.
Correct. Yeah.
Not Kamala.
Yeah.
Not Kamala. You know, interesting aspect when you think about the DNC and what's going on. Do you know that? I want you to think about this. They dropped bricks off for the DNC.
Did that happen this time?
Yes. There are guys that are actually going out and geolocating the brick piles that are around the DNC. It's like you guys are the puppet masters who control the riots anyways, and you're setting up riots for yourself? I don't understand.
That's weird. Because they weren't near, like, those bricks aren't in a location where they can be thrown at people coming in and out of the DNC.
No, yeah.
They're actually miles away. Like, they were boarding up business locations and stuff. They have, like, the city has I don't remember what they call them. Like, holy shit, they have a name for it.
Yeah, the mayor was like, don't come to work.
Yeah, and like
for the next week.
They have the local government has a group that will come out and board your shit up in case of vandalism.
I really somebody
and those locations where they're boarding up all those businesses are over 2 miles away from where the DNC is.
Somebody said this a long time ago, and somebody else said this. I'm not taking credit for this, but I really, especially when I heard that they were dropping bricks off again, I'm like, okay, first off, there is no city construction where they use bricks anymore. I wonder what would happen if you just showed up the day after and started taking the bricks.
They're
like
expensive.
If you started putting the bricks on a truck and were like, I'm taking these bricks. Because the guy that was geolocating, he's walking, he's like, holy shit, they're really dropping bricks off. And so he's getting closer, and there's a dude standing by the bricks. And he's like, they do the, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And he's like, I'm here figuring out why all these bricks are here. And he's like, I'm here figuring out why these bricks are here. And so they're like, and the guy's like, there's more over here. And he's like,
did we just become best friends?
Yeah, they're like, you want to do karate?
Don't play my drums.
But I wonder what they would do if you just drove around with a truck and started taking bricks.
Yeah.
Like who?
They tracked some of them back in some of the cities. They were actually being delivered. They were point of origin. They were being purchased from like Lowe's and Home Depot and such.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. The question is, track that credit card back.
Would you get in trouble?
For stealing the bricks? For
stealing the bricks that were put on public property.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably because it's us and we're not on their side. I mean, right. But yeah, bricks.
It'd be interesting to see how many fucking pallet loads of bricks you could get out of fucking.
Well, just any materials that are left. I mean, when you drive around downtown, there's fucking materials just sitting there everywhere. I mean, just like on the train tracks, there's always stuff around train tracks, so you could just go and pick them up. Huge crime. It's actually much worse of a crime to steal from the railroad.
It's also interesting that the Democrats now believe that fences work.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
They don't work down on the border though.
Now that fences work. Here's another interesting thing about the Democratic Party. Do you know that IDs are racist?
Yes. So and black folks can't use computers.
Yeah, that IDs are racist Unless, of course, you're trying to get into the Democratic National Convention. If you're trying to get into the Democratic National Convention, then that means you need an ID. You have to have an ID to get into the Democratic National Convention. And so if you're a Democrat and you're saying that IDs are racist and you require IDs to get into the Democratic National Convention, what you're really saying is you don't want any black people in your convention.
Maybe.
Well, I mean,
there was a lot of black people in there.
That's the excuse. That's the excuse they use for voting. Why is it not the same excuse they use for getting into their own convention?
Lil Wayne. Yeah. Who's that guy?
Little John.
Little John was there.
Yeah.
Singing, rapping.
Whatever. He's an idiot. Well, I take it back. No, he's not. No, he's not.
He's probably got a new album coming out.
No, sorry, Lil
Wayne.
Wayne.
Probably got it's not Lil Wayne.
Or who
he's got Little John. He's got. I'll bet you he's fully monetized, right? He's got a book coming out. Yeah. He's got a tour about to launch. If he didn't, he's about to.
No, but I guarantee you, they paid him a shit ton of money.
They're paying everybody. Yeah, a lot of social media content creators are coming out and going, "Yeah, I'm not with this. They offered me. Here's the fucking email."
They paid him a shit ton of money. So whatever.
Yeah. So how many abortions do you think happened at the DNC?
I don't know. Couple.
How many vasectomies? You know, it's funny because they were super. Yeah, I'm all for it. Right?
I am all for it. I'm all for. They should
remove yourself from the gene pool.
That's right. Remove your mentality from the gene pool because you people are idiots.
All your Republican Christians. That's what I keep saying. I go, let them kill their unborn children. Let that happen, right? Because your kids now don't have to fucking. They don't have any interaction in the future with them.
You know what's funny is, man, I lost it.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Unborn children.
No. So the Daily Show was pretty liberal. Like the Daily Show it's pretty bad.
Okay, who's on that?
That's I can't think of his name anymore. Colbert.
Okay.
But they have been hardcore liberal for a while. And they did an episode the other day that I can't believe they did.
There's a lot of that going on.
They went to the DNC and started interviewing people, and they're like, hey, this is the party of inclusion. And they're like, oh, yes. We everybody they interviewed were like, yes, we are the party of inclusion, and everybody is welcome here, and everybody blah, blah, blah. And then they would always be like, are Republicans welcome here? And these people would go on these fucking tirades about, and everything they listed was just ridiculous, like redneck beer drinking, like they would go on these tirades about.
But Kamala's campaign is after them, haven't you heard?
Yeah,
they're trying to harness and win back Middle America and the rednecks. They put out a camouflage hat.
Whatever.
They put out a Kamala camouflage hat, and there's her tranny fucking daughter there wearing it.
I believe that the DNC should have a camouflage hat because they are the party of war.
And they said we didn't have any country music at our last event. We've just really missed Middle America by not having country singers.
Maybe they could get who's your boy with all the tattoos? Just came out with a country album.
Post Malone.
Maybe they get Posty. Maybe Posty will show up with his 249 and do some country songs.
Does he have a 249?
Yeah.
Like a real one?
Yeah.
Like he really has one?
Yeah. He went
I know he's a big gun dude.
Posty went postal and took all the classes and did all that shit.
So I knew he took some classes. Ben tried to hook us up with him. Ben had him on video on the phone a couple times when he was here. And I didn't. I'm like, cool, whatever.
Resignio tried to hook me up with him.
Did he?
Yeah, he wanted me to teach a sniper class for him.
So every time he was playing in or around Nashville, Ben and Dana would go down there. Dana's met him a bunch of times. Cool dude. Mm-hmm. Cool dude. I like his new music. It's very catchy, and I had no idea that was even him. I had some help. I didn't do this all by myself. That whole song he's got a bunch of shit out there.
Yeah, pretty good. They should pay him $1 billion to come sing some country songs.
So you saw that? Yeah. You saw the abortion trailer?
Uh-huh. Yeah, abortion truck on wheels.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey,
nice.
Did you see that shit? Fucking wild. It's crazy because when we used to, it was called eugenics before it was Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
And they had a problem with it when it was eugenics, but they're all for it when it's Planned Parenthood. Yeah. It's the same fucking people. We used to lock crazy people like that in places called asylums.
Yeah, I'm glad they're taking themselves out of the gene pool because some of those people are fucking lunatics.
Yeah, they did used to take them out of the gene pool.
Lunatics.
Yeah. So much so the Nazis praised America for taking it a step
we're
further.
day 2. We're day 3 into the convention. We're day 3 into the DNC convention.
How long does this fucking thing run?
Till Thursday. They have not explained a single fucking policy. Not a single policy. All they keep doing is Trump bad, Camilla good. Even the funny thing is Michelle Obama gets up there and she gives her speech, and even in her speech she's like, "Hey Democrats, we don't have time to figure out if Camilla's the right fit."
She said that?
If Camilla's the right fit, you Democrat, you got to step up and vote for her, or Trump will be president again. It's like, what the fuck?
They had some dude up there talking. I don't know who he was, and he said Kamala Harris, first woman president, first black president, and there's Obama sitting right. Is Obama no longer black? It's fucking.
Well, he wasn't. He's
correct.
He's Asian.
She's not black. Well, he said first African. He said first African president. Kamala's not African.
Yeah, not even her people are African.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the thing about like, it's crazy that the Democratic Party is such a gaslight party. That's all they do. All they fucking do is gaslight you. They're like, they're telling you all the things that she's going to fix.
Why ain't she fixed them now?
They are the ones that broke it.
Yeah. Why isn't she? She has power right now.
You think about it. In the last 12 years, the Democratic Party has been running this country. If their policies are that great, we should all be living on a pillar of gold right now.
Yeah.
But their policies suck.
What's your $750 grocery bill? What's that look like in your fucking grocery cart, right? Because it used to be 2 grocery carts.
Yeah.
And now it's the bottom of 1 grocery cart. Like we were at Sam's Club 3 weekends ago. Like we just don't shop. Sky shops mostly. So we went to Sam's Club and we bought a pack of ribeyes. It was 3 ribeyes. She bought a tube of hamburger something. She bought a packet of chicken breast, and I bought a thing of lithium batteries. And I noticed, I think there's less lithium batteries in here than normal. And the price is more. And we did. I compared them, and there's like fucking 8 less lithium AAAs in the package compared to the one that I bought, I don't know, 6 months ago. Yeah. And when we walked out, I go, how much was this? She goes, $275. I go, what? $275. Single layer on the grocery cart. Yeah. Nothing was stacked on top of each other. I'm like, did you buy something we got to go pick up? Like, what's up? $275. Yeah. Did not even, you could still see through the bottom of the grocery cart. Fucking nuts.
Well, that was,
and then she's talking food control, right? Price control and price of groceries. Man, you want to see shit fucking implode. Tell motherfuckers what they can and can't charge for shit.
Yeah. Her policies none of her policies work. It does not fucking work. You know what she's talking about? She's talking about price controls. She's not talking about the inflation.
She's talking about communism. Her dad was a card-carrying fucking communist.
I know. You have to destroy everything before you can build it up. That's the problem with again, Democrats. I don't understand how stupid they are. The Democratic Party, for the last 3 years, has taken 4 of your cookies away. They're like, give me those cookies. They've taken 4 of your cookies away. And you're like, oh my God, I only have 1 cookie left because the Democratic Party has taken my 4 cookies. And now they're like, hey, re-elect us. I'll give you a cookie back.
Yeah,
and all the Democrats are like, woo,
That's what's going on, man.
I thought you're going to give me 1 cookie back?
I thought I keep a packet of Oreos in there for emergency Oreos. Uh-huh. And I always notice that the package is open and I grab it and I look in there and I'm like, I didn't count these, but it looks like there's less Oreos in here. So I seal it back up, right? It's got the self-stick thing. But every time I look over, when Brandl's been here, I noticed that the pack he doesn't think I'm watching, and he doesn't put the package back. But it's not Brandl, I hear. It's Democrats.
Why don't you reseal it? No, that is exactly what a Democrat.
I don't think it's him. Somebody doesn't close that thing back.
That's exactly what a Democrat would do too.
Blame it on Brandl.
Unseal it. Take their 4 cookies, leave it unsealed so the rest of the cookies go stale. That's exactly that's the policy that is going forward with the Democrats. They didn't even. Here's the crazy thing, John. They didn't even change the platform. They didn't even change the platform speech.
Did they just give Obama's again that they've recycled 3 or 4 times?
They didn't change the platform speech. So the platform speech mentions Joe Biden 256 times. It mentions Kamala Harris 6 times. They didn't even change the speech. They left it. Like, right now, Joe Biden is sitting in his car. Joe Biden listened to the fucking platform speech, and he is sitting in his car going, holy shit, they really are going to reelect me.
So Joe Biden spoke. The president never speaks on the first night. Joe Biden spoke on the first night. Mm-hmm. Then they pushed him out.
Yep, they had to.
He got on Air Force One, went to California on vacation. He's been on vacation 362 days out of his 4 years of presidency.
Yeah, of course he has. Well, he's not really on vacation. He has Alzheimer's and dementia. They have to keep him away from the White House.
You think there's some
treatment?
So the best treatment for that kind of stuff is actually in Switzerland, from what I hear.
I mean,
best treatment for all that shit.
Yes, probably the best treatment for all that shit. If you have to get treatment,
no.
If you're the president of the United States, Switzerland comes to you.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I just say that because we know somebody in another country his father runs that country.
Yeah.
And he has multiple sclerosis, for instance, and he goes to Switzerland for treatments.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you're the president of the United States, the treatment comes to you.
Yeah, good point. Did you watch the video I sent you about the Las Vegas shooting?
Yes, about.
Did you watch it all the way through?
I mean, I watched 90% of it.
Okay, so it was like 2.5 minutes. Did you watch it? That's some wild shit.
The problem is, the problem with a lot of that is there's nuance. There's nuance that we're not paying attention to because we're super hyper focused on the actual thing, right? Mm-hmm. And so, if I fire a gun, let's say I fire a gun over here, or let's just pretend something happens inside the building, and I use a rifle inside the building, and there are people killed. Just within the perimeter of this compound, there's going to be 10 different versions of how that happened. Mm-hmm. And then the people at the gas station heard something different. The people over there heard something different. Our ability to recall what we hear is going to be something completely different. So you're going to have a bunch of different competing views. And the other thing too is taken as a whole perspective. Like if you look at that area where he's like showing the 911 calls, how many 911 calls does that area get on any given normal night, right? So
what about the helicopters? Helicopters took off. Were you in Las Vegas when we did the Grand Canyon tour? We took off on the A-Stars. So right there, that's where the same planes, those planes that are sitting there by those helicopter tours, those are the planes that go to Area 51 out there. So those all the people
that's where that 740 or whatever it is that they take the employees out.
Yeah. So there's actually several of those planes there. 3 of those helicopters took off at the same time, and all of their transponders shut off. That's what they were talking about in that video. Those are those helicopters.
I have a problem with anything that is large scale. Like I have a problem with large scale because whenever you go large scale, so it's if I was going to assassinate, or if I was the government and I wanted to assassinate the president of the United States, I would have a single individual that would be the person that I would be hoping would kill the president. I would have a backup individual.
Oh, it sounds almost like the other day in Pennsylvania.
I would have a backup individual, and then I would have somebody that doesn't know these two that was ready to kill both of them.
Yeah,
right?
You're running 3 separate teams that don't know the other 2 exist.
I would do that. Now, outside of that, once you start bringing in equipment, and big conspiracy, the problem is, again, I fall back on you create too many minions.
But what if
you create too many minions?
What if the dude up in the hotel room is exactly what they said he was, or they MK Ultra'd him or whatever, right? They get him to do his thing.
Yes.
And then let's say SEAL team, for instance. Not that it was SEAL teams, right? But we know that you've got 1, 3, 5, and 7 on the West Coast, right?
Okay.
And then each team has platoons, right? So you've got sister platoons in there. So what if you tasked SEAL Team 1 to do whatever over here, and SEAL Team 3 is doing whatever over here, and SEAL Team 7 is over here, right? None of them know that the other guys are deploying. None of them know.
Well,
You're running 3 separate assets.
You're running 3 separate assets, right?
On 3 separate targets.
On 3 separate targets within the continental of the United States against U.S. citizens. There's
But they're not.
But there's no way you're going to convince that many meat eaters to do that.
No. They didn't use NSW. They used
No, but I mean, again,
they used Army of Virginia
again,
or whatever we're calling it today,
but that's
or
what I'm
whoever
saying.
that is, right?
But that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying is, again, too many minions. There's too many people involved.
Understood.
If you've got 10 people, especially
when this happened,
especially if you're talking about the Army of Northern Virginia,
when this happened,
those are all meat eaters.
You said we know the guys that would have had to
Yeah.
have done that, and there's no way that happened, right? I think there was even communication with one of those people. Said it wasn't us. That's who we know about. They're fucking 5 names past that. Who do we not know about? What is all that armament, all that fucking equipment, all those people?
Again,
or they brought up teams.
The problem is you're starting to look at a proficiency level. You're looking at a proficiency level that, again, up until very recent times, those were all card-carrying meat eaters that went through the system. So,
But
I don't believe you could get them to do that.
How many Spetsnaz guys? I'm not saying it was FSB or Spetsnaz or any of that shit. But how many of those dudes do you think are in the United States right now?
Oh, there's fucking thousands.
Right.
Yeah.
20 million, 50 million. I've heard Trump say 50 million. I've heard him say 20 million.
But again, if
illegals.
If you had a foreign entity that did that, tried to create that, you wouldn't have a reason to shut it down. You would have a reason, because for example, if we're gonna use this as a tool for the government, right? If it was a foreign entity that did it, that only calls for more federal government and restrictions. They would want that. Like it would be if they could prove.
What do you mean shut it down?
Meaning if they could prove, or if they even had an inkling that it was a foreign adversary that helped him establish that helped him get into that position, and then foreign assets fired more guns in order to create more.
No, he was the distraction. Who do you think the real target was?
Well,
it wasn't those people in the fucking
Prince
concert.
Boobaloo-Foo-Foo.
You don't think so?
No.
Do you know who that is?
Yeah, they would have killed him.
Do you know who he is?
Yeah, it's
he's currently the head of Saudi Arabia right now.
Yeah, it wasn't him.
He's in charge of Saudi Arabia.
You don't create that big of a distraction. You don't create that big of a distraction and miss. You just don't.
So what about all the gunfire and the bullet holes in the fucking hotel and all the shit that happened in that hotel while that shooting was taking place 2 blocks over?
I don't know.
There's a lot of people that say,
but I don't know because again, we're so deep. We are so deep in this. I don't know that any of that to be true.
Have you seen all the people saying that there was actually nobody killed at the concert?
No.
I don't believe that. And here's why I don't believe it. There's the lady that did Amanda's wrist surgery, Dr. Goulash, I think it was her father's name. She took over the practice in Paris. They had built a beautiful house on property in Big Sandy, and they'd never occupied it. They were going to move into the property like 2 weeks later, and her husband was killed at the concert event. And there was a big to-do when they brought him home, and apparently he's buried on the property. I haven't gone and dug him up, obviously, but I would assume.
No, I mean, the reality is people were killed.
Yeah, I think so.
People were killed.
But I think
the question is always the question would always be not whether people were killed, whether he acted alone. That's what the question is. The question is, did he act alone?
You really believe that was a bump stock?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Have you heard the rate of fire?
I've heard
the rate of fire and how many times he would have had to reload.
I have heard everybody. You literally, when people are saying, because the thing about a bump stock versus a let's say a 240 Gulf, right? A 240 Gulf has a specific cadence. When you're firing a bump stock, it does not have a specific cadence. It's really based off of how well you're holding it when you're shooting it. And so the cadence goes up and down. You can hear the cadence going up and down.
Okay.
You can hear it. You can hear the cadence getting faster and slower. So if anything, like if you always have to look at what would be the reason for the government to do that, to have that happen, right?
Do you believe that the government would never do such a thing?
Oh no, governments do shit like that all the time.
Our government
has
kills its citizens.
Killed U.S. citizens all the time. I mean, they let whether you're talking about the radiation they pushed in Texas on the lower income housing units down there to see
Tell me
the
about
effects of
that. I
radiation.
didn't know about Texas.
Yeah, they in Texas in the 50s, they put these radiation emitters on top of these buildings that were down, or the projects were downwind. And so what they would do is they would put I don't know what I think it was cesium something or other.
Do you know they did that?
And so it would fall on these people, and then they would go through and do.
So do you know they
healthcare.
did that in Chicago, I believe also? They launched, they were putting nuclear or radioactive particles that they were pushing off of, they had these little gun or cannon launchers. They had them on the top of a Mason building.
Same thing they were doing.
And when that got busted
Texas.
out, they evacuated, they what's it called? They condemned the buildings, pushed everybody out in like a 30-day period, took these things down and hauled all the material away. Do you know where all the material from the Twin Towers went?
Landfill somewhere.
It was all secured. Nobody was able to check it. They weren't able to do anything with it. And I believe it was sent out of the United States. I want to say that. I was talking about this on a live a few weeks ago, and there was somebody on there that seemed to know a lot about it. Like, the information's out there. I haven't fleshed it out and really pulled that thread. But like all the material was gone. Nobody was able to fucking analyze it. They weren't able to look at it.
I mean, you want to analyze the pieces of World Trade Center, I know where a piece is at. Mm-hmm. It's a doorstop.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? There, when
you probably should take that out of there.
Why? It's not illegal. What I'm saying is, when we're talking about the World Trade Center, and people are like, oh yeah, they boxed it all up and sent it to fucking North Africa. I mean, first off, it was a shit ton of material. Mm-hmm. They don't have a place to put it in New York City, so it's a shit ton of material that has to go somewhere. If you think that there's not big pieces of that sitting in firehouses and police stations and fucking boroughs all over.
What?
We have a huge one in our town. It's a huge beam.
Well, you have a beam they say came from there.
And then
all over fucking.
Does yours have nanothermite on it?
I don't know. Our fire department has it out in the front lawn. Like
fucking, there's no.
What about the Israelis? You know about the Israelis?
What about them?
The dancing Israelis.
Do Israelis dance? I mean, yeah, I know they dance.
Okay, they found out right after this happened.
I see the girls dancing all the time in their uniforms.
Do you know that right after this happened, they arrested a van load driving erratically out of the city of Israelis?
Okay.
And they had them in custody for several days. They believed that they were suspects of the World Trade Center event.
Okay.
And then some federal agency came and got them, and then they were never heard of again. You've never heard this?
No. I mean, I'm sure that there were a ton of people that were just getting arrested.
So if you were going to do, if you were in charge,
if I was in charge,
SOTG operation type thing,
SOTG operation,
Las Vegas event.
Las Vegas event.
How many people would that take?
I don't understand the question.
Good. I'm glad you said that, because I also don't understand the question. The real question is, who was the target during that event? I don't believe that dude. I believe that was a distraction.
I don't believe so.
Why did he pick that event? Why then? Why that?
Well, he had picked two different events. If you do a little digging, you don't have to do a lot. He actually picked two different events. There was a rock and roll. I can't remember what it was, but it's a rock and roll event that was scheduled the same week or the week before, and he didn't have the room view that he had at where he was at.
Same venue?
Different venue. So he had picked other events.
What about the millions?
I mean, the country. What is?
What about the millions of dollars on the offshore account for his girlfriend? Did we ever hear where that money came from?
$100,000. No.
Or where is it? $100,000?
It was $100,000.
$100,000.
Where were we before we had the pee break?
100,000.
Kids nowadays were doomed.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I said, hey, how is how is so and so? And you're like, oh, he's okay. I'm like, he's a good dude. And you're like, yeah, but he's like soft.
He's beyond soft.
And I said, are there any kids nowadays that are not doomed?
I mean, I don't know. I think the problem is we are too. There's too much information coming in. So like I'll see stuff where I'm like, I'll see a bunch of stuff where I'm like
hopeful because of TikTok.
Yeah, I'm like, America's still great. Look at that kid taking the engine out of that car and putting in a different. Like, I'm still hopeful, and then I meet people in the real world. And I'm like, my God, I don't even know how you feed yourself. Like, I don't understand how you exist.
I have a client, pretty cool dude, and he even just moved to Tennessee, and he brought his son out here to an event. And I didn't catch it. And he's like, my son's autistic. And I go, I didn't think that. But now that you mention it, okay, I kind of see it. He goes, yeah, my Forerunner needed a timing belt, and the dealership wanted like $8,000 or something. I don't know what it was. And he's like, my son got online and read the manuals and was like, Dad, I can do this, and just did it in the driveway. A normal kid wouldn't do that, but a kid, he's on the spectrum or whatever, and he was in there looking at gear, and Dad was like, hey, do you want some of this stuff? He's like, or do you want to look at something? And the kid was like, well, I don't want to just stand here and listen to you guys talk. I'm like, well, that's pretty straightforward. But then it made sense after he said, hey, my kid's autistic. Mm. But like we look for these kids that are like we think we were when we were young. And they're not there, right? Like, I was dropped off at a construction site and left with a wheelbarrow, a pickaxe, and a sledgehammer. Not a cooler, not a building with air conditioning, not a trailer. 95 to 100 degrees down in Bonita, down by the border, break up this concrete, and when you get back, and nobody said, hey, you better have this done, but there was no option to not have it done, right? And now I'm like, hey, here's this 10 by 10 square feet. Have this.
You and I'm sure you probably don't remember, but you will remember immediately. The reason why you knew you had to get it done is because you used to get paid by the job.
No, I was paid by the hour.
Were you really?
Mm-hmm. I was paid by the hour.
I remember that was the thing that, like, especially when I was out in Palm Springs working for the trailer park, that they would be like, all right, fucking, you're gonna do all this, whatever it is, you're gonna do all this. We'll pay you when it's done.
Right. Did you ever know what you were getting paid?
No.
I had a thing I wanted, right? And this was right before mountain bikes ever came out. But everything I wanted to do was go explore further out in the canyon.
Right.
I knew the Nike missile base was out there, but I was never able to achieve it on foot. So this guy up at the top of the street, his name was Jeff Hunter, and he had a company called Sierra Mesa Corporation. And they did decorative brick, block, and masonry. They were tied in with this company called Pawn Doctor, and that was Lee Sheartz and this other guy. And Lee did a lot of stuff with Jeff, and Lee was a snake guy, and I was a snake guy. And that's how I met Jeff. Jeff had a wolf dog that would get out, and I would capture the wolf and put it in my backyard. And I'm like, well, I'm going to keep this wolf. I had no idea where the wolf lived. I just knew I wanted this dog, and he'd come looking for it. And he saw in my garage I had some snake cages. He's like, hey, I have some snakes. Well, this was the dude that he lived in the exact same house model I had, but he had a long driveway at the top of the street and you couldn't see it. And he had like 1.5 acres of property up there. And he was just kind of the mystery, but he had all the things that I wanted to do when I was 13 years old.
Right.
And he's like, hey, do you want a job? And then he told me about this. They made these mopeds that look like dirt bikes, but you didn't have to have a license to. Well, that was the answer right there, right?
Yeah.
And I needed $2,000 to get this thing so that I could go to the missile base. And, you know, I ended up bypassing that and got a Honda XL 175, and then boom, we're at the missile base. We're out there. But that was always the goal, the thing, to be able to get the money, to get the ability to go further. And that was always what it was. But I want to say I was paid, I don't know, $4 an hour, maybe $5.
No way. Bet it was way.
It could have been less.
I bet it was way less. I bet you're making like.
I was making more than minimum. I was making more than minimum wage.
Because minimum wage in.
When I started my first.
What year was that?
My first job was McDonald's, and I was making $3.75 an hour. I don't know what year that was.
That's even more than, because my first job was Value Land, and that would have been.
Was that in Santee?
Yep.
It was still there when we left, I think.
My first job was working at Value Land, and that was minimum wage, and that was $2.25 an hour.
And they sold stuff like other stores didn't sell, so that stuff ended up there. Is that what Value Land was?
No, it was a material outlet store.
Fabric.
Yeah, fabric.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a.
Man, it is so rare now.
A crazy ass machine, dude. They had when you think about machines, crazy, but they actually had a machine that you put your bolt of fabric in, you know, one little piece of fabric, and the price tag, it would put the price tag on there and then push a pin through it. Like a pin. I'm like, this is the coolest shit. But man, you do that 9,000 times in an hour, you ate your life.
Man, it is so rare to find a fabric store.
Yeah,
there's a huge fabric store. There's a couple of them in Tennessee, and then there's a really incredible one like in Atlanta. It's just enormous. You know where there's one here?
I know the one in Atlanta.
Yeah, because I send you links to all that shit, hoping you'll be like, hey, let's go. We'll go tomorrow.
Let's go to the fabric store.
Hey, you want to do something really cool? Let's go look at rolls of fabric.
Well, you never know what you're going to find in a place.
You never know what you're going to find. And just you find the lady that owns the place. If you actually get to talk to the owner, like, what was this build? Oh, my grandma had that, and then all of a sudden you're friends.
All right. Yeah.
Then you're playing her drums.
Good. Yep.
So that was kind of thing. So you saw Kamala Harris said they're gonna if the first 100 days, if Congress doesn't do what's right, she's gonna executive order and do a mandatory gun buyback.
I mean, she can't. So who cares?
Is that true? She can't?
Yeah. If you're a Democrat and you believe,
can she not just?
No, she can't. That we have a thing called the Constitution.
Well, they don't seem to follow that.
It doesn't matter. She cannot make an executive order that bans.
Didn't Trump make an executive order to ban bump stocks?
No, he did not.
So what happened?
Basically, what Trump did was he told the ATF to take a look at contrary to what the fucking rabid, and I'm going to throw you under the bus there, my 2A friends, contrary to what the rabid 2A individuals believe, is Trump did the best thing he could have done for us, period. He told the ATF to reevaluate the bump stocks. The ATF, through their determination, made the bump stocks illegal. Not the President of the United States, the ATF. What did that do? That threw the whole bump stock controversy into the court system. It's Donald Trump's Supreme Court nominees that have thrown the bump stock out on its ass. Like he did what he did. Now, whether he knew what he was doing or not, because again, we've talked about this before. Donald Trump is not I would not consider Donald Trump a 2A guy because he didn't grow up in a 2A world, right?
But his son is. His son is,
but
hugely,
still.
Yeah. But Trump is becoming a 2A guy, or at least he's saying the right things.
He's saying the right things. So what he did by doing that, the reality is you could say that all the gun victories that we've had, all the gun victories we've had in the Supreme Court over the last 2 years are directly because of Donald Trump and directly because of the bump stock.
So what about the FRT triggers?
That fucking's going to shit in a handbasket too.
Right. So the court said give them all back.
Yeah. And
do you know ATF came out and said we can't. We don't know whose they are.
I'm sure.
Did you hear that?
I'm sure they did.
So what's the company that owns, FRT's not a company, right? Force Reset Trigger. What's the company?
I don't know.
There's a big company out there who's been fighting in court recently. Turns out we actually know the owner. I had no idea that dude owns that company. So pretty wild. We could probably actually interview him.
I mean, the reality is that it is the direct link is Donald Trump, Supreme Court justice that we have in there that has allowed us to win these cases, and they've written these opinions that the reality is, even if they fucking stack the court, even if they stack the court with total libtards, the way the opinions have been written and the way the law is, they can't get around it.
Won't they just rewrite some more opinions?
No. What they would really have to do is change the Constitution,
which they're talking about.
But they're never going to get the ratification. They're never going to get enough states. So, and the problem with the idea of formulating a convention of states to change something, right? Is that's not the only thing that's going to get changed. They'll change a bunch of shit. And, if you're a fucking libtard and you're like, good, let's change shit. You don't know what's going to get changed, right? You don't know.
Might go the opposite direction.
It might go the opposite direction on
so
your ass.
Name some countries in the last 20, 30 years that have banned guns, right? You can no longer have these evil black guns. You can't have anything. What are the big ones that come to mind?
Australia, Germany.
UK. Canada.
Well, UK. The thing about UK is it's always been that way in UK. So UK has never had a.
Canada.
Canada had a little bit of a gun. Like I remember, I was getting Galils from Canada when they were illegal in the United States. Maybe. I mean, not illegal in the United States, illegal in California. Sorry, so fuck you, California. But that's the thing is, out of all those countries, so think about all those countries, every country in the world where a gun has been banned, where guns have been taken away from the civilian population. Name one of them that had it written in their constitution.
Okay, but that's not what I'm going at.
Okay, what are you going at?
Those guns weren't taken away. The guns are all still there in Canada. The guns are all still there in Australia. They said, this is now illegal. When I talk to people in Canada, they're like, no, they didn't take them away. We just can't do anything with them. We have them.
Well, to a certain extent, like I think they had like
just like the pistols. Pistols are illegal in Canada.
I think like 5 million. I think they had like 5 or 30, somewhere between 5 and 30 million guns turned in Australia that were fucking run over by tractors and shit.
Okay, so I heard Kamala Harris, and I don't know when she said this, but I heard it this morning. I don't know whether she said it 2 years ago or today. She said there's 5 million AR-15s in the United States.
Yeah,
we have to take those out of the people's hands.
She's full of shit.
There's 18 million just in California in 1 year during COVID.
Yeah, I don't believe they have a rational number because.
So,
well, I'll give you an example. When the bullet button.
Yeah, the receiver thing.
When the bullet button thing happened in California. So when the bullet button thing happened in California, and Obama was president, they were bringing in 40,000 AR-15 lowers a month into the state of California. 40,000 a month for 2 fucking years. Mm-hmm. That's just lowers. So that's not all the guns that came in too.
Right. So my point is, all those arms are there. All those guns are in all those other countries where tyrannical shit's happening. They're saying there's a civil war right now in the UK, right?
Not really, because so when you think about the UK, nobody in the UK has a gun, except for the hierarchy. They have guns, and even the guns they have are very specific.
Who's doing the killing?
Prince Williams is not running around with an AR-15 or a SR-85.
Right.
He's running around with a fucking a 12 bore.
So over in the UK, you've got white folks right now. Mm-hmm. That's what they are. Every one of them's white. You got white folks that were basically born there, have heritage there, have family there. And you've got 3 little girls that were stabbed by a Somali. they're like, well, he was born here too. He was born of Somali parents that had been there 17 years.
Doesn't matter.
But they never,
Radicalization,
they're radicalized. They stay in their pockets, and they killed a bunch of white kids. So you have these people that are protesting, and they're protesting against the Somalis. The Somalis and the Muslims there, the guys that are burning down the fucking monuments and doing all the shit, they have what's called zombie knives. So much so that they have all these exposés, and it's a big thing. They have these like AA. To get out, I don't want to be a hoodlum anymore and carry a knife, or I've been stabbed and now I work to rehabilitate these zombie knife carriers. And they basically are just taking anything long metal, stop sign, sheet metal, anything, and they're building these long fucking melee weapons. And now these guys have showed up at these protests while these people are behind fences and shit. Now, all we know is the angle that we're shown.
Right.
So maybe it's shot from the perspective of the white folks. But you have these people who are attacking these other people who have no arms. And when they defend themselves and we go to fisticuffs against the knife, they're arresting the white dudes.
Yes.
And putting them in jail.
Yeah.
So I heard yesterday, I watched a video yesterday, some head of police over there said that we are going to jail you. You're going to get a mandatory year in prison. And they are now, I forgot what they called it. It was so fucking hilarious. They're letting out 5,000 criminals out of prison so they have room to put these protesters. The protesters are not the guys with the arms.
No. Unfortunately for that country, they have allowed the globalists to take over, and the globalists want nothing more than to destroy community and destroy countries in general, and create these fucking low wage working class.
Well, isn't it like Black Mirror or Ready Player One? Right? You're going to sit on your exercise bike. You're going to watch this television. You're going to crank this thing and create our free electricity.
Something similar to that, but again, they want serfs. They want people that they can control through.
Right. They want to go back to medieval times.
They want to go back to medieval times, and you have the globalist agenda. That the fucking, the guy who's running England is a globalist, and that's why they have done what they have done, and that's why they're doing what they've done. And the only thing that England has, the reality is, if you're English, if you are a card-carrying Englishman or woman, and you want England to survive, you're going to have to overthrow these motherfuckers. You're going to have to take these motherfuckers out.
Well, that's
because if you don't, there's not going to be an England.
That's my point.
It won't exist.
Right? These guns are in all these places. Okay,
but
maybe not England.
England's a tough one.
Like Australia's got guns. Canada has guns. Nobody's overthrown anybody.
Australia's got some guns.
A dude last night before on one of the lives said something. They always want to talk about tyranny, right? And I'm like, okay, if you believe things are bad, you think more lockdowns are coming, they're going to steal the election. Would you be better off if you had more money? Would anything in everybody's life would be better off if they had more money? Because
is that true though?
It's absolutely true.
Is it true?
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
Okay.
Give me more money. Ask me what I would do.
Wait a minute. Are you living in a financial fantasy though? When you say more money, because it's really not about money.
Correct.
It's about political view, because as you are very well aware, all the money in the world they can take away from you like that.
Right. You got to convert the money into assets. You got to convert the money into tangible items.
I mean, the reality is if your message is not the right message, unless you have Elon Musk money, which I don't even think it's Elon Musk money, I think it's his technology that they want. Unless you have that kind of money, it doesn't matter what your assets are. They can take whatever, they can forfeit any asset you have. If your message is not the message, I mean, the reality is,
if you're outspoken, you're going to get stepped on.
If you have you can have a lot of money, but you still have to tote the party line. Otherwise, they're going to fucking take that shit from you.
Here's what I tell guys, especially on the lives at night. Guys are like, I can't afford whatever. I'm like, then why are you on this live right now? Why aren't you at a second job? Why aren't you at a third job amassing money, right? Buy some property.
What the fuck is going on over there?
Build some shit up, whatever.
Like a fucking medical experiment.
His nose is running. So, Jesus. And somebody said, yeah, we need to buy more guns. I'm like, What are you going to do with them? You haven't done shit with the guns you have right now. Nobody's done anything with the guns in the United States in the last fucking 100 years.
Well, that's not true. There's been several.
Give me some examples.
Well, right here in was it here in Tennessee?
You talking about the sheriff?
Athens, Tennessee, I think it is.
Walking tall?
No. There was a whole city that was...
when the people came back from World War II?
Yeah, there was a whole city that was fucking...
overthrew the corrupt local government.
And there's actually... that's the one that we know about. There's actually a couple other ones that happened after World War II, too. So,
I think there's more of them. We just don't hear about them.
It's doable. I mean, the question is, we always go back to the same thing, right? I always go back to the same thing. It's not about the guns. It's about comfort. We're comfortable. They haven't made us uncomfortable enough yet. Because, again, like you take you and me for an example, right? They turned California into a shithole. Like, it is a shithole.
San Francisco just lost its last Denny's. The last fucking Denny's in San Francisco just closed down.
They've turned California into a complete shithole. And what did we do?
Left.
We left. We took our stuff and we moved to a state. We moved to America. Tennessee's America. We moved to a free state.
It's like Man in the High Castle.
It didn't affect Tennessee, or it didn't affect California at all, right?
There's a lot of people that left, though. A lot.
But it hasn't affected California at all.
Correct.
The political status quo is exactly the same. So it hasn't affected California at all because most of them are... The reality is people they have their heads so far up their asses they don't understand.
We've got dudes, too, that are like...
Gavin Newsom, believe it or not, Gavin Newsom came out the other day and said that California has the lowest electric bills.
Right.
And you just go and check, and California has some of the only place that electricity is more expensive is in Hawaii.
Yeah, Kamala Harris said yesterday that they've cut immigration and illegal immigration, and less than 50% less people have crossed the border since her and Joe Biden have been in president than when Trump was. She literally said it. I watched her say it.
Like that's the thing. They're gaslighting.
I wonder if she believes it.
No, they're gaslighting everybody. It's just like her coming out and going, "If I'm president, I'm gonna stop taxing. I'm gonna stop taxing tips."
She was the deciding vote.
You're the one that did it.
Yeah.
And the problem is the Democrats. Again, it's that cookie thing. They are so like, "Oh, did she just say she's gonna give us a cookie back?" And they're all like, "Yay!" And she's actually making you a promise to give you a cookie back
that they already took from you,
that she's not going to give back to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen. That none of the stuff that she's saying she's going to do, because she could do all of it right now. Joe Biden ain't running the fucking White House.
Correct. Yeah, they could have done it in the last 4 years.
She could do every bit of it right now. She ain't going to do it.
So Brandl's nose is running. Jeff said get a neti pot. Are you aware that you cannot get the water for your neti pot out of a pond?
I get it out of the Berkey.
Okay. I don't know how this happened, but there was some neti pot stuff going on in the last few years where people were using neti pots and they got an amoeba up in their brain and it killed them. Like there's many cases of people using neti pots where it kills them.
From the pond?
I don't know. I don't know.
People not cleaning them out and stuff and letting mold and stuff.
I don't know where the fucking shit. I used one once and it never helped me.
I used the sinus rinse nail med one that you squeeze to put pressure behind, and it actually does it. The neti pot one does.
Have you seen all the videos where you go in and I don't know, I assume it's a doctor and not just some dude in a van somewhere, but they put this balloon up in your nose and then they insert it and it like pops it opens your airways or something.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good time either.
Some of them do.
Man, I've met a lot of people that have had like nasal surgery, and every fucking one of them, I'm like, would you do it again? They're like, no.
I want to do that balloon.
As bad as it is, it did not help anything. My nose is always running. It did not used to be like this until I moved to Tennessee. And I've used Claritin, I've had prescriptions.
Yeah, you lived in a desert. Now you live in a high pollen.
A dude told me when we were moving here, he said, he goes, I moved to Tennessee. I was there for a year, came back. I go, why'd you come back? He goes, sinuses, allergies.
You lived in a desert before, and now you live in a high pollen.
I do notice, like, I use nasal spray all through the day, right? Like, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. I'll even be like, oh, my nose is wide open, man. I haven't used nasal spray today. And then 2 minutes later, boom, I'm like, can't breathe. Nasal spray fixes it. It doesn't really work anymore. I do notice when we go out of town, I don't need nasal spray when I leave here. I don't use it hardly.
Have your guys vacuum up all the pollen, and you won't have that problem.
Have them ship me some clean air from somewhere.
Yeah, have them vacuum up all the pollen.
So wild. So
yeah, you know what you could do? I know exactly what you could do, because you could probably find one. You could probably find one in the antique store. Just get you a bubble.
I would love to have that.
Just get
the
you
boy
a
in the bubble.
bubble that you could wear with your little space backpack that filters all the air and shit.
Maybe that's what I should do. Get one of those like they were wearing during COVID, the big mask and shit with a positive air supply.
Yeah, there you go. And then you won't have a problem.
We'll just wear LAR5 rebreather.
I mean, that's kind of heavy.
We'll have Dave make me one. It'll run off of kitty
it'll run
litter.
off of fucking kitty litter. The fucking sun will recharge it. It'll probably have like some sort of rocket booster on it too, so you could hover just for a minute. Like, yeah, have Dave get on it. You know what? He didn't even need to make it for you.
So
I bet he already has one.
Tell me about. So we went to Alabama last weekend.
Okay, you went to Alabama.
Never been there. Went to Huntsville. Had a great time. There's a lot of the Space Center is really big.
Yeah.
Have you ever been there?
I have never been there. I've driven by and thought, I should go there, but I was always in a hurry.
I want to go there, but I don't want to like do the normal person tour. I want the, hey, this is the shit you don't get to see tour.
Well, then what you need to do is just get you a white coat.
Just fucking walk around in there.
Link, get you a name tag with a big NASA logo on it, and then just walk with a clipboard and a hard hat. You can go anywhere you want to go.
The place has got to cost billions and billions of dollars to build all that shit. It's a trip that they made all those fake props to make you believe that we went to the moon.
You know, it's a trip that anybody would think we didn't go to the moon. Trip. We didn't play golf on the moon. We didn't throw a football on the moon. We didn't leave trash everywhere on the moon. We did
Didn't we leave a guy on the moon?
We did everything America. We did it like. We did all the evil, no, I don't want to say evil, but we did all the shit that an American would do. We left trash on the moon. We played some stupid sports on the moon. We did all that shit. There's a goddamn dune buggy on the moon.
Think so?
Yeah.
Do you think 7-Eleven saw it when they were up there?
7-Eleven, so something that most people don't know are all the people who are like, we didn't go to the moon. What they pretend they don't know is when China went to the dark side of the moon. So China went to the dark side of the moon. That's where the
Transformers is supposed to be.
Yeah, and dropped their little weeds off that they were trying to grow on the moon that died. The first thing that every country, India did it, or China did it, and then India did it. The first thing every country does before they go and do whatever they want to do on the moon is they fly over our landing sites. That's the first thing they do, is they fly over our landing sites and, like, we don't believe oh, shit. Is that a fucking car? What's that flag doing there? Is that footprints? Oh, fuck. And then they go and do their mission. China and India both did that.
How would there possibly still be footprints there?
Because there's no atmosphere, bro.
But you got space storms. Fucking meteors hit them. That's what all those asteroid craters are.
No space storms.
You don't think anything hits the moon?
No.
Then what are all those fucking holes?
Because this part of the universe used to be fucking chaotic.
You know.
Have you ever seen? Do you
remember when they used to tell you the moon was made of Swiss cheese?
Yeah, I'd still believe it is made of. I don't believe that the moon. I believe we landed on the moon, but the moon is actually a Death Star, covered in layers of dirt, and that's why they don't want to go there, because it's a fucking Death Star.
If you were in Star Wars, which side would you be on?
Oh, I mean, that's a dumb question. The fucking Empire has the way cooler uniforms.
What do you think those look like?
What do you mean? What do they look like?
Yeah, who do you think?
I think Hugo Boss. I think they look like something that Hugo Boss would have made. Something like that. They had way cooler. Except now, don't get me wrong. The uniforms that the rebellion had when they were on the moon with the little Care Bears,
Ewoks.
The uniforms that the rebellion had on.
You know those ate each other. They eat meat
on the moon. Well, how do you think they had it?
Yeah.
They didn't eat meat. They ate people.
Yeah.
That's how they had all the clothes for everybody to wear.
And they're little rapists.
Mm-hmm. The uniform that the rebellion had on the moon, that I would have went with that uniform.
That bike was cool.
But then again, that uniform was also made by Hugo Boss. So,
do you remember watching the Star Wars TV show when they had it on it was on television? It was never an in the theater thing, and they did this whole on that planet. I can't remember what that planet was called, where the Ewoks were, and their Death Rider, and they had the bikes and shit.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was on TV. I remember watching that.
I don't remember that. Anyways, why? Which uniforms would you like? The ragtag rebellion uniforms? Come on, those guys don't even have cool guns.
If you look at no, I'm with you.
They didn't even have cool guns.
I mean the German, like who has the sexiest guns out there? Heckler and Koch.
Yeah, I mean
HK, Steyr.
Why would you not be part of the Empire?
The uniforms, they got their little walk and their whole thing. However,
if you think about this, the rebellion is nothing but a bunch of spoiled rich kids.
You think so?
Yeah, Princess Leia, spoiled rich kid, right? Just a bunch of spoiled rich kids.
What do you think Jabba the Hutt did to her?
I mean,
they never went into that.
No.
What have you seen all the new Ghillie stuff that they're doing?
Yeah, I've seen some of the new Ghillie stuff.
It's all like mesh that is cut in different, so it's 3-dimensional, and then they're zip tying it on.
Yeah, that is it started with the helmets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're calling them scrims.
Yeah, it started with the
now
helmets.
It's on rifles. It's on all the gear. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I haven't played with it.
As far as camouflage, it looks fucking like
I haven't played with it.
There's some dudes saying that shit really works.
I haven't played with it. The issue is always going to be we are very good. We as humans, not right now, because we live in this world with straight lines and shit. But if I take you and I put you in the woods for 6 months, we are very good at recognizing things that are man-made. That's why even with the ghillie suit, the key to a ghillie suit is not the garnish. We put a lot of garnish in there because it makes us feel good, but the key to a ghillie suit is the natural vegetation that's around you. I seen a fucking sniper on a stalk. So doing, stalk, you get within 200 and the instructors are looking for you. I seen an instructor bust a dude because of a bootlace. Like, literally saw the bootlace. Now, he wasn't being an asshole. Like, you can be an asshole and you can walk on people, and he literally was like, man, I don't want to, he's literally telling the walker, I don't want to bust this kid, but I see something that definitely should not be there. I really, really see something that shouldn't be there. Now, if the kid was in the sitting position, and he's like, I see something that shouldn't be there, and I don't know what it is. And so he literally had the walker, like, he's like, out. Point your, he's like, finger down, 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 down,
Sniper
down.
at your feet.
No, he's like down, 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 touching it. And so the kid's like, he's touching what the instructor can see. And he's like, what the fuck is that? And he's like,
bootlace, sir.
It's a fucking bootlace. You see his bootlace. That's exactly what you see. So we get really good. We get really good at seeing things that aren't natural. We get good at seeing things that are man-made. So like, if I take, for example, if I took you out to a stock lane and I'm like, all right, here's some binos, find some pigs. You wouldn't see shit. You'd be like, what the fuck? You'd be all over the place. You wouldn't see shit. But if I made you sit on that truck for an entire class and just observe.
I was out there.
Yeah, observe. The next class, you'd be pulling pigs out because you would see your brain would change how you're looking at things downrange, right? Your brain would change. You start to see things in a different way. And so that, again, those ghillie suits are those things that people buy already pre-made and all that, they're very field expedient. But
well, I think that's what the
question is, do they really work against someone who is really looking for them? Now, camouflage helps in the manner of, if I'm not really looking for something, like if I'm just driving down the road, doing my thing, driving down the road, and you've camouflaged yourself over, you put your cami net over your truck and all that, there's a good possibility that I'm going to not see it because I'm focused on something else. But once I change my focus from whatever it is I'm doing to looking for camouflage. Camouflage is easy to see. Like it is easy to see. When the fucking satellite flies over, all those fucking trucks with camouflage netting over it, it's not like they go, "Oh, I can't see that shit." It's just you go, "There's a truck, there's a truck, there's a truck." It's just you have to refocus what you're doing. So I don't know how we got on this power train about camouflage, but camouflage is continuous, and you should always use natural veg.
Well, because there's so much coming back from Ukraine right now.
Yeah.
And we're actually seeing interviews with guys that have been in and out of Ukraine, and that's the current combat zone where we're getting intel and information, and we have people over there that are coming back, and then we've got Grand Thumbs had people on his channel, Trey Last American Outlaws had people on his channel.
The interesting thing is the Russian special operations guys have been using ghillie suits the whole time.
Not just the snipers.
Yeah, the Russian special operations have been using it the whole time. The Ukrainians as large units, so their special operations forces, like the dudes who went into Kursk, the first wave were all special operations guys. They were wearing ghillie suits for that, so they are adopting. The problem is, and this is where you come into the argument. Is it worth it? Meaning, a ghillie suit is a great tool to fool me. Like if your outline is not broken up and you're standing along a tree line, and I look across that tree line, I'm going to see you because your outline is not broken up. It's the shape of your helmet, the shape of your kit that's going to give you away. You're in a ghillie suit. The whole point of a ghillie suit is to break up that outline. So I just pass right over you. But on the modern battlefield that is Ukraine, everything is fucking drones. The ghillie suit don't help you. Mm-hmm. Now there are tricks that you can use to hide from thermals. There is stuff out there. The problem is all of that is stationary stuff, meaning you got to get underneath it and be underneath that thing when the drone is looking. But the way they're using drones, especially the Ukrainians, you're not going to know. You're not going to have the opportunity to hide because they're using those drones at high altitude, so you don't hear it, and they're scanning the battlefield, finding you because of your heat signature. They're finding you because of your heat signature and your movement, and then they're sending a fucking FPV attack drone on your ass. So by the time that FPV drone is in the air coming after you, diving under the fucking thing that's going to hide you from thermal is not going to do you a bit of good.
So guy gets a brand new, like our jungle kit, mm-hmm. or Rally Manifest. Yeah. Guy gets a brand new kit. He's got it sitting in his car. Balloon goes up. He's got to go out in the woods.
Got to go out in the woods.
Thing's going to fucking shine. It's not dirty. It's not scratched up, right?
Right.
Is he not better off to dust it, get it dirty? I was just watching a video the other night.
Dusting. You with just spray paint. You could do a dusting.
I was watching a video the other night where dude was talking. I think it was ghillie suit and clothing, mm-hmm. and he says, I take pond water and I mix in some soil and mix it up in a wheelbarrow, and I just soak this thing in there overnight, and then I let it hang, and now it's got some fucking, it's killed the smell off of it, it's taken the shine off of it, and then he's like, I drag it behind my four-wheeler.
Yeah, we do. Even in the Marine Corps, back when the Marine Corps was hard and they had scout snipers, we would do ghillie suit break-in, where they would go jump in the pond. You just have to be careful with how you do it, because what ends up happening is if you get over aggressive, now dragging it behind your four-wheeler is kind of a great idea because it's still gonna shred up, right? That jute is still gonna shred up. When dudes are jumping into ponds, what's happening is it's just making clumps. And so now you have this ghillie suit that doesn't really do what it's supposed to do because you have these fucking clumps of shit all over your fucking ghillie. Now, it was fun for the instructors to make you run through there, but it doesn't really do anything for your overall camouflage. The question is always, do I need to do this or do that or whatever? Look, the truth is, what you really need to do is stay out from underneath the eye of Sauron. That's really what you need to do. Because camouflage, again, guys, I'm not throwing away any of my camouflage. As a matter of fact, I want John to make me more woodland shit.
Well, we're making a lot of woodland stuff right now.
I want John to make me more woodland shit. But the reality is, because of the technology that is out there now, it's more important that the technology never sees you than whether or not you can see me. Because if me and you, truth is now, if me and you are in an adversarial role and we make contact on the battlefield, at that point it's just guns, right? It's my guns against yours. We're gonna shoot it out. That's what's going on in Ukraine. But if technology gets on you, you can't fucking hide from it. You just can't. Once the technology is on you, doesn't matter if you're wearing tiger stripe, woodland, the technology. Once that technology is on you, you're fucked. Like the reality is, you're fucked.
You see these guys with.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If it's an observation tool, if it's reconnaissance, there are things you can do to get around that observation tool where you can disappear. Right? You can. There are things that you can hide underneath. There's certain things that you can do to lower your thermal signature.
Yeah, Grand Thumb just had a video out. Trey took his drones and shit out there. So Trey, Last American Outlaws got a video. Grand Thumb has a video showing from both different perspectives, being hunted and being the hunter.
Right.
I found it pretty interesting. And when you look at these guys, he had a SEAL on there that was a recce guy. And I don't know where I heard it, but recently I heard, the helmet's the first thing you see. A lot of these guys run helmets all the time. You hear a lot of people always wear a helmet. No matter what I'm doing, I wear a helmet. Yeah. It's got my nods, got my comms, got my ear pro stuff on. Everything's on the helmet. And
it's a very man-made thing that is easily.
That's what they said. They said what's the first thing you poke out from around an edge,
great distance,
out of a vehicle, anything. It's always, so they're wearing these scrims, right? So they've got this camouflage stuff that's on here that kind of breaks it up a little bit, and they've put some veg or some burlap or jute or something on there, and now you're seeing them start to wear, even guys not carrying a precision rifle, half like just I used to I'd make fun of girls all the time. I'm like, where's the rest of your jacket at, right? It's just a fucking collar and some sleeves. But that's what they're wearing. And then you see a little bit of the garnish on the gun, and you especially see it around the suppressors and stuff.
This is nothing revolutionary. The breaking up outline is something that breaking up your outline is something that armies have been trying to do for many, many years.
Well, like Mike Stanchik from Tactical Concealment, he's done this forever, right? Yeah. He made the Viper hoods and all these things these guys are making. Right. And now you have these newer companies or companies I haven't heard of selling these ghillie kits. And they're basically taking the camouflage mesh, not the military stuff, but just this mesh, and they're cutting it in leaf shapes. They sell you a bag of it.
Yeah.
You take zip ties and you take the center. So now it's not flat. It's not a stencil. It's 3-dimensional in 3 or 4 different colors. And you zip tie this onto your shit, onto your gear. And it's kind of a temporary thing. The zip tie is eventually going to fail, but it works, or it seems to work. It looks fucking pretty cool.
Well, it only works because of perspective. That's all. It just
because
works.
The adversary is not trained to find it.
It only works because of perspective. No, again, the problem that is on the battle. Observation. So you think about force recon, you think about battalion recon, you think about scout snipers. What did we do? What we did is we looked for enemy targets. Right. That's really what we were supposed to be doing: is being out on the battlefield, forward of friendly lines, looking for enemy targets.
Not engaging,
finding those enemy targets.
You failed at your job.
Yeah, finding those enemy targets, right? That's me, the operator, with my eyes and a pair of binos going like this.
Okay, binos I wanted to talk about next.
Looking for motherfucking threats. I don't do that anymore. I mean, certain elements still do that. But now it's all about the sensors. It's all about the sensors. And so...
Wasn't it always, though? I mean, we had SIDS even back then, seismic intrusion devices.
But none of that shit really worked. Didn't work very well. Now, the technology has caught up, and it works. So you've created a camouflage system that would have been badass in the 90s. But if it is not doing anything if it's not doing anything to change your thermal signature, you really might as well be wearing a tracksuit.
You know, they got a poncho liner out there that's got a thermal barrier in it.
Yeah, there are products.
Fucking $600.
There are products, but those products, aren't usable on the move. Because even that poncho liner, if your arm rests against the thing, it's going to heat up, and then you're going to see the signature.
I saw something when they're like, okay, we're gonna sleep down here. We got to put this tarp over, and then we have to put a tarp over that tarp with a 12-inch. So you've got to set up 2 sets of poles and 2 sets of lines.
You got to do all kinds of crazy shit to. So the best thing to do is attempt to not be in areas where the thermal is being used. Never be seen, because the problem. I'll give you an example, just quick. The problem with what Grantham was doing, or the problem with that idea is, if I'm a let's say I'm a guerrilla force, right, and I'm operating in the Camden, Tennessee area, and I bushwhack some fucking Chinese UN troops, and in doing so, a reconnaissance drone with a thermal identifies my movement, identifies that was done, and now I'm moving away. It doesn't matter if I can now hide from them. It doesn't matter if I can jump in the pond or fucking put up my little fucking poncho liner and I disappear. And the reason why that is because the Eye of Sauron has now been put upon you. And so now, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, there's going to be 42 drones flying over that area trying to identify your location. And the next drone that shows up is not going to be a fucking reconnaissance drone. It's going to be a drone with a goddamn hellfire on it. So the minute they see you, that's it. So you're only, at that point, your really only choice is to fucking leave. Meaning, I can no longer operate in Camden, Tennessee. I'm going to have to fucking go to, New Mexico. I got to get out of this. I got to get out of the Eye of Sauron, because once that technology gets put on you, it's going to find you. It's only going to be a matter of time. It's going to find you. And there's not a fucking thing you can do about it, because we are used to drones that you can hear. The reality is, the only drone you're ever going to hear is maybe an FPV drone that's an attack drone, and it'll be too late, because you're not going to outrun that motherfucker.
Yeah, those are kamikaze drones.
Yeah, so you're not going to hear the reconnaissance drone. You're not going to hear that shit. Not from a fucking not even a near peer. The goddamn sheriff's department has a fucking $500,000 drone that can fly over where we can't hear it and identify everything we're doing and follow us around fucking town.
We had it in here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He brought it in. It was in here.
So, the idea is you have to create an environment where the thing can't find your. Don't be where the thing is looking, anyways.
So you don't think we should fuck with the camouflage?
As far as making stuff for it, no. I mean, still camouflage, because most of the world is not near peer. Most of the world is still out there with fucking binos. And
so come time to jock up and put all this gear on that all these guys in the United States have.
Okay. Come time. Revolution.
Who are they fighting?
Who are they fighting? I don't know. A bunch of blue hairs. Right.
So, well, probably not. I mean, but is the technology still going to work if it comes time to fight here in the United States?
Yeah. The first. You don't want to be. You don't want to be part. You want to be part of the first month. The first month. Because again, you're looking at a couple of things. Does the U.S. military get involved in a color revolution within the United States?
Why do they call it a color revolution?
I don't know. Because people were throwing chalk at each other? I don't know. But let's say there is a semi-revolution that happens within the United States. Does the U.S. military get involved? In Egypt, they didn't. That's the only reason why Egypt was able to fall. That's the only reason why Egypt fell, was because the military sat it out. Now, you're still going to have to go against all the security forces, meaning you're going to have to go against the guys that have a fucking nut in that fight, meaning...
Who would that be? In the United States.
Fuck. You know, take a look at what the FBI has been doing to Donald Trump. They have a nut in the fight. The CIA has
Homeland Security, all that stuff.
There are people within those. The question, again, though, the question is, do they have the actual support they think they have? Meaning, you know, when you say Homeland Security's, I don't know how many people are in Homeland Security. It's got to be in the thousands, right?
It's more than that.
Well, yeah, whatever it is.
Every law enforcement department has a liaison with the Homeland Security.
But I mean, you have to assume that there are groups of people within those entities.
The U.S. Marshal roster, I think, was 4,500, 3,500.
That wouldn't partake in a government that was attempting to kill citizens. So they probably wouldn't have the...
You don't think the ATF knows that they're attempting to kill citizens when they do a no-knock warrant at 6 o'clock and cover up all the ring cameras and shit?
Yeah, but what you're doing is...
how many of those motherfuckers have been killed?
But what you're doing is you're taking a specific group of individuals and putting those on the entire ATF, right? You're taking.
But are we? I mean, are those? You think that's the exact same 10, 12-man team that hits in every state, or does every state just have those teams?
But again, even if it's 1,000,
okay,
there's 5,000 ATF agents.
Got it. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We're assuming that everybody's on board. And I wouldn't think that everybody would be on board. So there's going to be a point where those very expensive sensor systems are going to have to be used sparingly, right? They're going to have to be used specifically. It's just like when we talk about if the United States declared martial law, there wouldn't be, not only would there not be any National Guard troops here, if everybody was on board, like let's say every single fucking dude who wears a uniform is like on board with, we're going to declare national law or martial law in the United States. Everybody's on board. Not only would there not be any National Guard troops here in Camden, but the National Guard troops here in Camden would be somewhere else, right? They would all be jocked up and be in fucking Minneapolis or fucking LA or Chicago or Washington, D.C. There's not enough. And that's the same thing with our tactical assets. We don't have enough tactical assets in the United States to cover the United States. So there would be pockets of resistance in places where those assets wouldn't be available. Again, not being under the eye of Sauron. Now, I don't know if I can say it. Those assets would slowly start to disappear. Right? They would slowly start to disappear. The assets would slowly not be available to those diehard whoever the fuck is in the White House, right? Those assets would start to disappear because they just would, you know?
They would cease to exist, or the controllers would,
They just would.
Yeah,
we have a.
In addition to that, you're going to have some of them that are like nobody's at home feeding my family, and they're just going to fucking also disappear.
We have had the luxury. The United States has had the luxury of operating our military forces in far-flung places all over the world. We haven't really had to fortify anything within the United States against a singular United States threat. So, you know, those assets would not make it off runways. Those assets would not get built. I mean, you know,
sabotage,
because we know where it's one of those things that would eventually start to become a serious problem. And then camouflage becomes the thing because, like, again, if it's me and you out in the woods, I want to be camouflaged as best I can. I want to break up that outline. I don't want your visual peepers to be able to detect me. If it's me against a peer adversary, I have to come up with a new plan on how I'm going to move around the battle space where I'm not detected. And that's where micro terrain and cover and all that stuff comes into play.
So you have a brand new set of gear.
Brand new.
You've had for 4 weeks now. Yeah. When you show up here, and you're like, hey, it's time to put this shit on. What's that kit going to look like?
it's gonna look like
It's not going to be all brand new and shiny.
It's gonna look like whatever the. It's gonna look like whatever the mission space is. Because again, I can't even tell you that kit is going to be the kit that I'm going to wear, because I don't know what the scenario is. Maybe the kit that I'm actually going to show up in is a fucking flannel shirt with that concealment rig underneath it. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what I'm going to be wearing, and I'm going to be like, hey, it's time to fucking.
Have you watched any Spiritus videos?
No, I haven't watched any.
So all those dudes are SF dudes, and they run a Darcy. Darcy, it's a training group, I think. Mm-hmm. I thought Darcy had something to do with SF also. But they've got this whole, like, operating civilian and urban terrain type stuff also in the woods. But he said that they don't ever wear, like, military pants because they wear a woodland. Their curriculum requirement is woodland BDU top because it works all over the place. Mm-hmm. We can put it on and camo in, but we do not want BDU pants because we might want to strip this off and have to interact with other people and civilians, right? I can just take this top off, drop my kit, and talk to somebody, and now I'm wearing a T-shirt of some sort and, pants that are, Cole pants, or they named off a bunch of them, but not military pants.
Correct.
And I just thought that was interesting when he was talking about that. But when they're still operating and they're moving and shooting and everything, and most of that stuff is not like body armor stuff. That's out in the woods. It's field craft and water purification and the whole deal.
Right.
And you're carrying a rifle, but they got blank fire and adapters on them. Is how they're running that class. I just thought it was pretty interesting watching him talk about all that stuff. I've actually been watching a ton of their videos on the field craft and first layer gear, second layer cold weather gear, sleeping, improvised layer, their first video on sleep and then their second video on sleep. And they're talking about the Marine Corps poncho liner and how it said the improved one's better than all the other stuff the Army has because it's got the mesh in there. And then the anti-bug stuff and just, interesting, just normal ass field craft stuff from his perspective.
No, I mean, I'm sure they're putting out great information. But again, even when you think about it, it's a mindset. It's a mindset mission set. So if I say this is the kit that I'm, because again, it's about having a choice, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody in the Army wanted to wear the fucking digital uniform that was issued to them or any of that digital gear because it was fucking worthless.
And nobody doing any real shit did wear it.
But 90% of the fucking U.S. Army had to wear that shit out in combat in the fucking desert, which meant it didn't do them a bit of good, right?
Yeah, 100%. I understand.
So being in a position where I can make the decision on what I'm going to wear and carry, it's all going to be mission. It's all going to be mission driven. It's all going to be what's the current situation that I'm in, because there may be a situation where I have to where I dust off the fucking flak jacket from Iraq and put the goddamn grenades on and all that shit.
My point is, you don't want brand new shiny shit, no matter what it is you're doing. Unless you're standing guard, and that's the fucking mandatory. You have to fucking have your shit pressed.
I'm not specifically. Me personally, I'm not specifically concerned about dragging my stuff behind a fucking Humvee in order to give it the dusty look that it needs.
You're not concerned with it being dusty and scraped up, or you would rather have it look brand new?
It doesn't matter. Okay. Like the reality is,
because we can do that in 5 minutes.
We can do that in 5 minutes. This isn't a thing that I need to waste any time doing now.
Oh my god.
Anyways, yeah, that's not something I need to waste time on.
So I'm listening to this prepper fiction series.
Yeah.
And I think it's called Neighborhood Watch.
Nice.
And you've got the people that so it's in Florida. They've retired into this little community that they're building these houses, and they've got these waterways, because everybody's got a boat in Florida and shit. So they're kind of like got water between them and the next neighborhood complex, and it's their group of people.
Little moat.
And this group over here, they've kind of got some guns, and there's this old dude retired. He's a fish. He likes to just go fishing and kind of be away from his crazy ass wife. And then you've got this other community, but he went and helped these people pick their kids up from school, and it's got this township. Well, this neighborhood, and they share this school. So they go pick the kids up, and you've got this little principal there, and He's straight. You can tell he's liberal dude, and he's like, you can't take these kids because you haven't signed for them. He's like, I'm taking the fucking kids. Fuck off, right? Well, turns out he lives in the neighborhood over here, and they're setting up all the cars. EMP's gone off. Vehicles don't work, but they have found some old car, some classic that does work, and
Cadillac.
Yeah, it was a muscle car of some sort. El Camino. It was an El Camino.
Nice.
454 or something. Some big block motor in it, and they have set up all these old cars on this bridge to keep people from coming into this neighborhood area. Well, the liberals, and you got the head of the HOA, and she's got the bob haircut, and her name's Karen or whatever, and then you've got the principal lives over there, and you can't do this because what happens when emergency vehicles is like, if you've seen an emergency vehicle, like planes fell out of the air, everything's on fire, there are no emergency vehicles. Nobody's coming to help you. You better start saving some water, fill your bathtub while the water runs. You better get a plan built. Go ahead. What?
No, I was just going to say that's the interesting thing about those people, though. When you think about like, I'm gonna say it, that fucking liberal mindset, the Karen that is worried about how tall your hedges are. That's not what's going to happen.
Well, and that's what she said. This guy over here has a German Shepherd. She's like, you're only allowed a dog that's 10 pounds or less. We've sent you a bunch of memos, and you're not allowed to have that, and you can't put these here because it's against the HOA. And
what I'm saying is that, like, if an EMP were to go off and planes fell out of the sky, how many fucking planes are in the sky at any given time? It would be like the goddamn rapture.
So
what I'm saying is that all those people, that principal, all those people that felt like they had some sort of power in the real world, they would immediately become docile, and they would immediately be going, hey, what should we do? Right. How are you going to save us?
That's not what's happening in the story. And this group is running missions going out into town, right? And it turns out this guy's wife has some pre-existing condition where she has seizures, right? So she needs some medication. They go to the hospital. Everybody's at the hospital. There's wagons and there's carts, and people are all bringing their fucking sick and dying to the hospital. Well, hospital's not an option, so they find a vet clinic. And nobody knows where the vet clinic is. They find a Yellow Pages to find a vet clinic, go to the vet clinic, get some meds. And they have this encounter as they're moving around different places. There are a few other vehicles that are running, and there's some roadblocks, and they try to like talk their way in. And then we're like, we don't know who these people. There's this like neighborhood watch group. Well, come to find out, the politicians, all the police had been immediately overrun, the little police stations, and everybody's just mobbing in looking for supplies or help or assistance or whatever, and they've kind of dissipated and gone to take care of their families. The politicians have no minions, so what do? They go to the local jails and the prison and go, hey, we're going to wipe your record clean. You work for us. And now the patrol force are actually criminals out of the jails. Not too far-fetched. You see that in a lot of this type of stuff if you look at the things that happened in Katrina and shit like that.
Well, even here in the South, when everybody was at war, the people that they used to keep everybody in line were not the best people.
Yeah, I just found it it's stuck. It's in my head.
I think that for the sake of entertainment, we tend to put drama into things where the drama really wouldn't be.
Okay.
Like I don't believe that there's any Karens in the apocalypse. I don't believe that there's any of that, because
they've also that neighborhood's also like set tents up on the edge, and they've got some refugees that they let in where these guys were like, nope, you can't come in here.
No, because they have here's the thing about some situation like that, especially if we're talking like let's just pretend that there's no power in the United States, that the grid actually goes down. They have the same, if we live in a community of, let's say, 500 houses, right? It's going to be a bunch of different people. But every single person in that community now has the exact same problem. Where they're going to get food, where they're going to get water. They're not letting refugees in. They're just not. They're not letting refugees in. They're not like, hey, you want to share my sandwich? They're not, because chances are, the more liberal they are, the fucking less food they have in their house.
Yes, and these are also the people going around knocking, going, "Hey, we need to take inventory of your food and your pantry."
No, you don't.
Exactly.
Because you're not going to show.
And they typically are also the ones that are unarmed or less armed.
Less armed. That's the key. Thank you, Obama. Because of Obama and because of COVID, a lot of liberals arm themselves. But again, not only are they going to be less armed, they're going to be fucking way less trained, and they're going to be not nearly aggressive enough for it to make a difference. So you're not coming to my house and inventorying shit. Your better option would be to come to my house and, just like I said, hey, your better option would be to come to my place and be honest. Hey, we fucked up. We're not ready. What do we need to do? Because I'm going to be like, let's figure out how we can make this work. I'm going to be like, hey, we can do stuff in order to make this work better.
What would that be? I need a ranch hand, or would that be here's a refugee bucket? It's going to be dependent.
It's going to be dependent on what they bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the reality is you need to bring something to the table. Now, that might be, I don't know, maybe you're a chick, or maybe you're a chick or a dude who was really into horses and knows everything about horses. I'm going to be like, okay, let's get some fucking horses, because that adds value, right? It's going to add value. Maybe maybe you don't know shit except how to make a fucking mean apple pie. That adds value.
Yeah, John likes apple pies.
Yeah, it adds value, and that's really what it's going to be.
You better be able to make some ice cream too.
It's going to be a job interview, and if your job interview is,
how many people are present at this job interview? You're not holding it by yourself.
well, it depends on what level we're at.
But you're going to have a show of force.
If I have community, because here's the thing, where we're at, I don't believe. Okay, this may be just Scully's naivety, but where we live, I don't believe that if the power went out tomorrow, that we would have some big problem.
Right. I mean, the power goes out here, and people don't even know the power's out.
I don't think we would have the big there would be eventually there's going to be a food problem.
When the power goes out here, I hit up two neighbors. I'm like, hey, is your power out, or is that just my power?
We're obviously going to be having a food problem. But the way I look at like Camden or Waverly, I feel like in 3 days, if the power was out, like at first everybody's going to be kind of adhering to the norms, right? The standards. They're going to be like, But if it's one of those things where they're like, holy shit, the entire country is out of fucking power. There's no power. Nothing's coming. Whatever's in Walmart is what's in Walmart. I feel like within a couple of days, you're going to have Granny Jophesis, Bob's farm, and everybody within the community. They're going to be at the town square, and they're going to have their tables up, and they're going to be fucking selling peaches, and they're going to be fucking selling whatever it is they have. And I also feel like there's going to be a point where maybe they're not going to be selling that shit anymore. They're going to be like, what do you got to trade? That I think here in these smaller communities, we will create a community much faster than anywhere else. I would say that our biggest problem here is our biggest problem is going to be those roving groups that think they can take what they want from the country, from country folk, right? They're going to come here and
the plan.
Eat all the corn.
Yeah,
no,
that's their plan.
It's a terrible plan.
Yeah,
it's a terrible plan because there's going to a community always. When they show movies like fucking what was that? What was the movie I just watched? The Postman.
We saw. You and I saw that together in the theater.
I just saw it again recently. The Postman, where you have this army that is just roaming around taking from people. That wouldn't work. Those motherfuckers would have starved to death a long time ago. It just wouldn't work because the community eventually would be like, oh, well, this is what we're going to do. As soon as they leave, we're going to go down over to fucking Donner Pass, dress up like Indians, and kill all these motherfuckers and take our supplies back. That's all. It would just, it wouldn't work. You have to have a solid community. You have to have a solid community, and that community has to be well armed in order to fucking make it. And bitches coming from Nashville because they're hungry, they ain't gonna make it. Well, yeah, they're gonna get they might get a bucket full of soybeans and like I don't know, go make some.
Well, most of them coming from, like, let's say Nashville, right? Most of them coming from Nashville also don't have gas tanks full of gas.
Right.
They're going to have to stop and try to steal or get some gas
Well, yeah,
from one of the farmers. And the beauty of this is, between us and Nashville, there's 50,000 fucking farmers with deer rifles.
Well, I even look at that from a certain perspective is you probably would have like 2 weeks to get your shit together before you even had to worry about fucking herbivores coming through the area.
What would you, if when the power goes out,
Yeah.
like the first thing I do when the power goes out is turn a radio on. Does the radio work? And the second thing I do is turn a vehicle on to see if the vehicle works. I'm looking, like, is it just the power that's out, right? Luckily, it's never been anything more than the power that's out. So at that point, not a big deal, right? It's not EMP or whatever. But if that happened, what are the things you would want to immediately go collect, right? You're not going to Walmart. What is it that you would go get?
Anything.
You don't need anything.
I'm going to stay right where
you wouldn't want to add any more because the safest time to move would probably be immediately.
I mean, no. I say, prepare your family to have enough stuff on hand where you can survive for 90 days without intervention. Food, water, toilet
no
paper,
matter
whatever,
what season it is, within 90 days, it's going to be a growing season.
90 days. I look at it from a virus perspective. Viruses usually die off in 90 days. So
once all the hosts are dead,
have enough stuff available so you don't have to interact with people for 90 days. Now, there's a problem with that. The problem with that is if you live close to people, they're going to know that you have the thing. So you have to make a conscious decision of whether or not you're going to defend it or give it away. Because no matter what, if you live in a community with 100 people and 99 of those people did not put any food in their pantry, in 2 weeks they're coming for your shit. They're just coming for your shit. I don't care what kind of friend that you think they are. I don't care how many barbecues you went to them. They are coming for your shit. They are not going to, even the most soccer mom on the planet is not going to sit by and watch her kids starve while your kids are over there eating fucking M&Ms that you put away for 10 years. It's just not going to happen. They're going to come for your shit. They're going to go talk to their neighbor and they're going to be like, the Johnsons have all that food over there and they won't share. And then they're going to go talk to their, and before you know it, you're going to have a fucking mob at your house.
Even if they can't get your shit, they will burn your shit.
Yeah, they'll burn your motherfucker. They will burn your shit down.
They will poison your water just so you can't have it.
So they can have that shit. So, and I'm not, again, I'm not trying to paint your neighbors as bad people. It's just we don't know, as a society,
we will become it.
We don't know. We have not had to live through hunger in a long time, and you don't understand what people will do to eat. And so I'm not trying to paint them as bad people, but you have to prepare yourself for the fact that they will be bad people if they realize that you have food and they don't. It's better if you're just like, we ain't got no fucking food either. We ain't got no, food either. Wait 3 weeks wait 3 weeks when they're all weak and feeble to be like, I guess you guys should have put some extra food in your pantry, like the CDC told you to.
Well, that's why you keep a flock of pigs.
Well, the problem with animals, well, yeah, I get what you're saying, but the problem with animals is everybody knows you have those fucking animals.
The beauty around here is everybody has animals.
So everybody knows you have your animals. Your best bet, the way I look at it is if you're a real farmer, if you're a Camden real farmer, or you're you have livestock, a lot of livestock, your best bet would be within the first week. If this looks like something that's going to go on, like if it really is across the United States and all the transformers are blown up, it'll take fucking 5 years for them to rebuild all that infrastructure. If it looks like it's going to go on for a long time, your best bet is to immediately set up a system where you can barter and trade for whatever you have. So give people an opportunity, to still eat, and give you something that they have that is totally useless.
Yeah, and security goes out and animals come in. You got to bring them in and set up your breeding and fucking thin the weak ones out and reserve your feed.
Give people an opportunity to bring Grandma Silver to you and you give them eggs to eat.
We've had
whatever.
guys.
You got to give people a way to fucking, even like I was talking to somebody recently. I'm like, even if it's an asset, even if it's an asset that is totally useless right now, like let's say they got a fucking, a Tesla that is fucking completely burned out. You have to create a value with that thing and allow them the opportunity to get a fucking, a 20-pack of hamburger patties for the thing that may not be valuable now. You have to look at from a perspective of, in the long run, everything will be valuable again.
Have you seen these electric car fires happening?
Yeah, they burn the fuck up.
3 days. They burn for 3 fucking days.
They burn.
Did you see at Otay Mesa out at 905? There's a battery factory out there caught on fire.
Oh man,
lithium batteries, car batteries, fucking burnt for like at 2 weeks. They're like, we're putting 1.5 million gallons of water in this thing a day. We expect it to burn for 2 more weeks.
Literally just over by my house. Forget car batteries. I know we're talking fire, but small tractor under 45 horsepower with a really small hay baler on it. Really small hay baler on it. Caught on fire. Fire department came. I was surprised that they were doing it because it was in the middle of the field. It wasn't.
They usually just let it burn for days.
Yeah, it wasn't in danger. They emptied their truck on this motherfucker. Emptied their truck on it. I'm like, oh, okay, put it out, whatever. That thing fucking smoldered for 3 days.
When did we have the party?
It was a minute ago.
4 weeks?
Yeah, at least 4
5?
weeks.
Probably 6.
6 weeks ago? Yeah, I think more than 4. Do you know that the bonfire's still burning?
Oh yeah, I know your shit burns for months.
Yeah, but we've had them burn 10 days, 2 weeks at the most. We're 6 weeks. We're a month later, and that motherfucker's still burning out there. It's inside. I think it's because I pushed so much of it up, and now it's just
underneath.
There's like it's like what's that city that town that's on fire still?
Yeah.
Centralia.
Yeah.
It's like that. So back to the
what are we going back to?
So I sidetracked me by car batteries. I can't remember what I was gonna say. Shit.
Uh-oh.
Anyways,
what else? What else is exciting you this week besides the
exciting me? Man, we've run a lot. We've run a lot of 2 courts.
A lot of 2 courts.
The 2 courts we've done multicam. We did Woodland. Apparently, I guess Amanda populated it with OD and Coyote, so there's a batch of those.
You say multicam. Have you seen? Has the Army changed over to Scorpion or whatever the fuck it is? They have. Mm-hmm. Have you seen any of that material?
It's on the market. We can buy it.
Oh.
There's tons of like seconds and overruns.
But I mean, have you looked at?
When I see it at first, I'm like, oh, that's fucking multicam.
Yeah. Have you looked at it against multicam?
No, I haven't had them side by side, but I see like Nat Guard people and airmen and stuff out in town with it. They must be recruiters or something. They're wearing that shit.
I'm just wondering why multicam hasn't died.
Because there's a huge market for it. Because it's everybody's buying multicam, and the military didn't want to pay royalties to Caleb,
I know why.
So they just changed it a little bit. Yeah. But there's so much of it out there right now. They've dropped, and that market is constricting, I think. But I think a lot of that material's going overseas to the different war zones and stuff. Where I mean, you have a whole war industry stood up in Ukraine right now, where you've got all these gear manufacturers, where it's Rosie the Riveter is running a sewing machine. And they're building, there's a ton of gear companies, seemingly very inexpensive. Like I'm watching some gear reviews on these Ukrainian gear companies, and I'm like, I couldn't even fucking build it for that, and I can buy it and have it shipped here. So
the problem, the reason why you see the price on that, the reason why you see the prices
exchange
are so
rates.
Low, no. It's because it's war subsidies. Those factories, they're not paying the employees based off of what they're making, because they're making it for the war effort. So how
the fuck are they able to sell it here? They
take a 2-quart
excess of it.
When they take a 2-quart off the line and somebody sells it on eBay or wherever the fuck they're selling it, right?
No, you can order from the website.
Yeah,
from
but
the company.
it's still excess.
Got it.
And those employees are all being subsidized by the U.S. government. That's who's paying their check.
Yes.
So the company. I mean, imagine, and I know you probably don't want to imagine this because it creates deflation for you. But the reality is, if you didn't have to pay for any of your labor, how much does the 1 quart cost then?
Mm-hmm.
It's cheaper.
Right.
It just if you don't have to pay for any of your labor,
Right.
you don't have to. You didn't buy your sewing machines because the government bought them.
Yeah, we don't pay the electricity.
You don't pay the electric. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're making a fucking 1 quart that costs 50 cents.
Well, we had this conversation,
And you're
when we
making
came-
millions.
when we were looking at the 1 quart, right?
Yeah.
You can buy a surplus 1 quart on the market for I think $15. Decent product.
Yeah.
We come out. I'm like, I got to charge $65 for this. I'm like, I don't know how many we're gonna. We have like, we're selling fucking more than we can even build. We're building. I think we're on our like 20th run of 1 quarts, and we still there's no end in sight.
Because you have a luxury. You have a uniquely American luxury. And I'm one of them. I'm a fucking gear nerd. I don't want to OD 1 quart on the side of my fucking Woodland Camouflage. You know what I'm saying? I'm a gear nerd. I want all my Marpat to be Marpat. I want all my fucking Woodland to be Woodland. I want my fucking
so Marpat's gone. Like doesn't fucking exist
because
anymore.
the Marine Corps killed it.
There's a bunch of there's
Fucking
a
assholes.
bunch of companies out there making shit out of Marpat. It's just not Cordura. Like we can't get Cordura. I still see you can buy a Whoopie, you can buy a Ranger roll, you can buy poncho, all that shit.
There's still because that's still an issue item.
I feel like
the nylon never made it as an issue item.
I feel like it's coming off like the material point of origins offshore or something probably. So because I would say this, because we put our logos on it, that has to be very Berry compliant. I'll bet these don't have EGAs on them.
Oh well, yeah. I'm saying any of the nylon that had the EGAs on it had to be very Berry compliant.
So I'm trying to find Marine Corps bivvies, right? The Coyote Tan, Coyote Brown Marine Corps bivvy with the mosquito mesh. I don't find any new ones. Like doesn't fucking exist. I find like good condition, and then I find usable condition, and you never know what you're gonna fucking get when you buy those things.
You really need to call your boys.
Okay.
You need to call those
Or
kids.
just go there.
No, I would call them, and I'd be like, "Hey,
Hold one when we
this is
find
what I'm
it.
looking for. Hold one, and let me know when you get it." Because they do that. They do that for our other guy.
Yeah, where's the secret room?
They do that for our other guy, and it's the mintest mint condition you can get.
You'll have to tell me who our other guy is, because I don't know who that is.
Our gun shop guy.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, our gun shop guy.
Got it.
So they always do that for him, and minty is mint condition, and they're pretty. Again, guys, I'm sorry, I'm a fucking gear nerd. Like, I will buy gear to buy gear and to have gear that's on top of gear. Like if I laid out all if I opened up all the Foot Lockers and laid it out, I'd be like, holy shit, I didn't know I had 20 of those.
When they raided my shop, I only had 2 garages full of gear. When they raided my shop, they got tired of fucking unloading gear to look through gear. I had so much ammo one time that they got tired of taking ammo in MREs, and they left half of it at where they had raided. I can't imagine them trying to search through all your fucking shit.
I got gear upon gear. I look at it like this. I'm a gear whore, and even the guys at the surplus store know
They
it.
have no. I don't think they have any.
No, but I
fucking
mean
clue.
they know because every time I go in there,
You're rescuing shit.
if there's a fucking if there's a Marpat poncho liner. Now this surplus
This
store
is covered in mold. Can I have this? I'll take it home and launder it.
This surplus store is mostly it's mostly Army kit, because obviously we're out here on the West Coast, so they're pretty far from military bases or Marine bases. But they do get Marine stuff in every now and then, and so I'll go through there, and they'll have a fucking huge bin full of poncho liners, and I'll go through the whole bin to find the Marpat poncho liner, and I'll be like, "All right, baby, I'm rescuing you. You're coming home with me." And they'll be like, "Oh, you had to rescue that poncho liner, didn't you?" I go, "You're damn right I did. I got to save all this Marine Corps kit." And like last week, I needed some tarps, some of those Marine Corps tarps, the tan, and for a project I'm doing. And so I'm in the bin for an hour.
What project?
I'm building a wall. I'm in the bin for an hour, just holding up tarps and looking. Well, the bin is marked, that they all have holes in them.
What are the tarps made of?
Like
Sil nylon?
No, it's a rubber material like a poncho.
Okay, like tent siding.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm looking through all these things and looking and, you know, trying to find the best ones and then making sure they all have the elastic cord on all the holes and shit. And
you know, we can put elastic cord back on them if you need to.
I know, but if I'm buying it,
okay,
you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I might as well have all the cords. So
fucking Jack Nelson used to bring me tore up bullshit. Can you fix this?
Yeah.
I'm like, why did you buy this?
And so
Jack Nelson was the biggest surplus dealer in San Diego, if not other areas of California also. Like, people don't realize that all the major surplus stores in San Diego, they got it from him, and he was actually part owner in their business.
So I'm getting through here, and I was getting 7 of them. And I go up to the counter, and the one kid's like, he's ringing me up. He's ringing me up, and he's like, and then I also wanted to put together a Vietnam all OD green H suspender, fucking just like the old days. And so I bought all that, and then like 2 canteens and everything. I bought all that shit.
There's a ton of YouTube channels where they're just building Alice gear.
And the kids. You know, the older kid, the older kid's in there, and he's like, how much did you charge him for the? He goes, those fucking things are all ripped up. They got holes in them.
Give them to him.
I would have only charged him. I think he's like, I would only charge him $7 for those. Just give him this 782, because you know it's stuff that's been sitting in there for a fucking 100 years and shit. And he's like, just give him that. I mean, they're at surplus store. If you have an opportunity, it's J&W in Trenton, Tennessee. Truth is, I cry a little bit every time I go in there. I do. I really cry. I've actually, in my head, I've thought, I'm just going to volunteer. I'm just going to come down here, and I'm going to volunteer, and I'm going to go through these fucking trailers.
Dude, they've done a great job.
No, those 2 kids.
They did an incredible job.
I say kids. They're probably in their 30s. Those 2 kids have fucking cleaned the fuck out of that place. Like, they hustle, and they move a ton. They move a ton of kit out of that place. I
would be like, what do you make? I'll give you 50% more. You work for me now. But then that store would crash. Yeah. We need that store to be there.
Those boys they work their asses off in there, and they've done a tremendously better job. I remember first going there, I was like,
holy shit.
Oh my God. I just felt like
look like a tornado fucking went through.
I need to rescue all this shit.
All right. You ready to jump off of here and we'll go over and do Patreon questions?
Let's do Patreon.
So, prediction real quick. What do you think is going to happen with the election?
It's going to be a fucking shit show. I think that my opinion is Trump is going to win by a landslide.
Have you heard there's already been more assassination attempts?
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me one bit.
On him. They found people trying to bring rifles into venues and all kinds of shit.
Wouldn't surprise me one bit. Yeah.
Did you hear
they've empowered their base.
Did you hear that Biden or the administration just gave the Secret Service lady who stepped down?
They probably gave her another job.
They gave her they assigned Secret Service to protect her.
Whatever.
So she has a Secret Service detail now.
You know what's interesting?
I heard that this morning.
You know what's interesting is these fucking libtards. It's the libtards who are the ones that are actually out committing violence against U.S. citizens. It's not the other way around.
Always, yeah. Let's just call them. Let's call them Democrats. Why are we calling them?
Well, because the same thing.
I mean,
Democrat.
You have an administration
not the other way around.
They gave a fucking funeral fit for a king to a drug addict with the Floyd thing. I mean, look at this shit that's going on.
It's ridiculous. Think about all the police officers. Think about all the police officers that are surrounding the DNC convention right now. Think about those hundreds and hundreds of police officers they have. These are the same people that were telling everyone to defund the police. Same people, guys. They are the haves, and you are the haves not. If you are part of the Democratic Party, wait a minute. Did you see the JFK's
RFK?
RFK. His number one supporter, the female that is running his campaign, just came out and was like, talking about how corrupt and fucking fucked up the Democratic Party is, and how they've done everything. They actually inserted people into their campaign to create sabotage within the campaign itself. Mm-hmm. Inserted people in there that committed crimes in order to. all the shit.
Well, I mean, Trump's campaign office was broken into.
Of course it was.
So
Only the fucking
RFK,
DNC.
this came out, I think, yesterday. RFK is talking about pulling from the race, and he's looking for a position on Trump's cabinet.
They're talking about supporting Trump.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
I think that the Democrats are going to lose in a major way. It's not even going to be fucking remotely close. And I think best case scenario, they're gonna pull those motherfuckers out of the White House kicking and screaming.
Who?
The libtards that are running the country.
Who's going to pull them out?
Trump's gonna hire a bunch of pipe fitters from New York City to go in there and fucking clean house.
That'd be awesome. Just use like some Iron Union guys.
Yeah, some Iron Union guys that go in there and clean house.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. We're going to jump over. If you're not aware, we have a Patreon. That video is built off of your guys' questions. So you guys have asked questions on Patreon. We're going to jump on there and do a video reacting and giving answers to any questions and having a conversation with the guys that ask questions over on Patreon. That's SOE Tactical Gear. Be sure that you follow Dog Kennel and Little Spoon on his Patreon as well as his YouTube. I've also got a membership on YouTube. I do a live every night, and Amanda and I do a video once a week. Those are built off of questions that members ask also, and then we're doing more over on Patreon. Every week we've been doing gear giveaways, and you have to be a member over on Patreon. That's where we actually communicate. We do the video on YouTube, so we usually pick members off of YouTube, but then we can't talk to you on YouTube. There's no way to communicate on YouTube, so you have to be a member over on Patreon. Yes, it's two separate things. We're doing that intentionally in case one's shut down on another. It helps support us and builds these videos, and that's what's paying for what we're doing here. We've got a ton of gear. The jungle kit, we've put out the padded suspender set multiple times in, I think we're on our fourth color right now. One quarts have been built. Rallymans, we're building hundreds of Rallymans a week with and without pistols. The butt packs have been built, probably 15, 20 runs of them at a time, over and over. The belts will be coming soon. Guys are like, let me know when you have the whole kit. We're not selling it as the whole kit. I just don't have the capacity to build it. If you're wanting to put one of these kits together, buy them when you see them. SOEtacticalgear.com. We have an email and a text. The text, we send a text every night. It's a lot smaller than the email. You're going to get a text every night. It's going to show you the main things that we made every day. The email is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's a lot more cumbersome. It takes Amanda hours to put that together. Typically, the stuff that comes out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it never lasts and makes it to the email. It would behoove you to follow both of those. So make sure you do that. Check that out. Redcon 1, if you use code SOE Gear, gets you 25% off. That's a substantial amount of money savings right there. I use the MRE Lite, and some of the pre-workouts that they have. Code SOE at EMP Shield will get you $50 off of your order. So be sure you check that out also. We will see you guys next week. We're heading over to Patreon right now.